Okay, so for those of you that are familiar with me, we're gonna try something different. I want to start doing video versions of my podcast, Unbothered. Today was October 1st. Now it's the 2nd, but like the day that I was just having was October 1st. The thing with October 1st in Las Vegas is this is when Mandalay Bay happened. And anybody that's followed me for a while knows that this is also about the same time that I personally start to get a little bit weird because my sister died around this time several years back. And it just was really like perfect for me to be here because there's so many people that I like and love. And if I can see them and make them feel a little bit better, or they like what I do on stage, or even if I don't know them, I feel like I owe a lot to the city of Las Vegas. When I was going through my breakup, even as like bad as that was, it wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been because the Las Vegas comedy scene and the people that surround the scene, where everybody was just so nice to me. And I had only been here for like 6 months. And they were just like, they could have been like, well, I don't know you like that, do better, pick better, man. Because it was a messy breakup right there at the end. But like the Las Vegas comedy scene just like surrounded me and let me know that if I needed anything to let them know. And then everybody was booking me on everything. And the people that I've met since I've been here have been so nice, like I said, even people that aren't comedy related. And I like that in regular life here in Las Vegas, you do get a lot of people giving you a little hello, or, like acknowledging your existence, which even Arizona isn't always the best about that, And I just really love Las Vegas and I feel blessed to be here. There was almost a thing where I wouldn't say started some drama, but I just got annoyed because I heard somebody was talking about me, which is dumb of me because why should I care? Things are going well and people here, like, they get me because, like, I like to have fun on stage and I like to be silly and I like to sometimes shit on the other comics, but for me, if you're a real comic, you should know that it's meant in a fun way. Like, I'm trying to create an atmosphere where we all remember that we're supposed to be having fun. And yeah, people are going to say some off-color stuff, and people are going to say stuff you outright don't agree with. But does it have a punchline? Is it funny? Is somebody laughing at it? Like, those are the things that concern me. Not the, like, what words you used or what your political stance is. Like, none of that stuff. And then, I see some comics giving themselves a hard time when they're really putting in work, and they're taking these open mics in a really, like, hard way. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that serious. Like, you can get back on stage in another open mic later tonight or tomorrow, and you can have a great set then, and you can feel like you redeemed yourself. When I was first starting out, that was one of the benefits to doing so many sets. I had to do a lot of sets when I was first starting out, as many as possible, and I was ridiculous and just a machine about the way I did it. But I had to do as many sets as possible because I had bad stage fright and I was trying to get rid of my stage fright. So in order to, like, get rid of the stage fright, I just went up as much as possible. And the benefit to that was you never felt like you had to sit on a bad set too long because here comes another set. So there was always hope. And more of the comics that are working hard need to remember that. And even if you strike out for a full night, say you do 2 or 3 open mics and you just aren't connecting with the audience, it's still nothing to really worry about. You're practicing, you're getting better. Tonight I did 2 sets, one at Rebar and one at Champagne's. And the whole reason I went to Champagne's was because there's a security guy there, the door guy. His name's Palomino. And he's a really cool guy, but he's like a really, like, hard Latino guy from El Paso, Texas. That's where he's from. And so but he's always super nice to Bijou. He also has a small dog. I see him at the gym sometimes and stuff like that. And one night when he was there, he let me know that he was, actually it was his gate that all this stuff at Mandalay Bay happened. So tonight, after I did Rebar, there was a part of me that felt like I'm going to stay in for the night. But this is also me and Bijou's regular date night. And for anyone who's not familiar about that, on Tuesdays, me and Bijou, if I'm in town, we go to Champagne's and we walk there. And if you're a true comedy fan, a true Thai Rivera fan, and you see I'm going to be in town and it's a Tuesday, just show up at Champagne's late, because I'll give you a set of stuff that you won't get anywhere else until it's completely where it needs to be. Rebar is another place. Late at night at Rebar. Rebar is downtown Las Vegas. Champagne's is probably about 2 miles off the strip. But if you really like what I do and you really want to see me like raw, working shit out, talking about actual life, it's either Rebar or Champagne's on a Tuesday. And I don't know why I feel like opening up like that when I'm in those rooms, but those two rooms just really have me lately. I think it's also because I don't feel like there's a consequence at all. Like, I mentioned on Facebook yesterday that, I pretty much have to be paid to be booked anywhere. Like once in a while you'll do a showcase and or something like that, and you won't get paid for it, or you'll do a guest set so that people can see what you do and see if they want to hire you, and you won't get paid for that. And I'm no exception to that. If there's a club that I'm trying to get into, my ego is not too big. If a friend of mine is like, hey, you want to come down and do guest sets, or do you want to come down and feature? I'm like, yes, I would love an opportunity to show them in person what it is I do. And I'll take that opportunity and I'll make the most of it. Even at this point, like sometimes people think like I would be have an ego about being a feature, and it's like, no, however I got to get into this club, I got to get into this club. That's why, like, I mentioned just briefly the little bit of drama that almost started. It's like one of my things, because what bothered me was really that this person made it sound like I had in some way actually hurt their career, or like implied that I had gone out of my way to hurt their career, which I don't care if I don't like you, or, we have a weird situation or something like that. I'm not going to try to get you unbooked. And it's not that I'm such a saint, but it is like, I feel like karma's always a better decider of what happens than I could be. And I also feel like I'm working so hard to make sure that I keep my bills paid, because I don't really want to be on the road that much. And, I know that I have to be still to a certain degree, but I don't want to be on the road that much. So I'm trying to do as much as I can here locally and figure out as much as I can locally, that I'm not going to waste my time trying to hurt somebody else's career when I can be putting that energy into getting myself where I want to be. So when people say that, I guess I shouldn't be bothered at all by it. I should be unbothered, truly, because it's just not my thing. Have I ever had somebody pulled off a show? Yes, and I'm not proud of it. And I could tell you who and I could tell you where, but I don't want to sound like I'm doing drama. So what I'll tell you is, I was booked to headline. This person had talked about me a lot and terribly, and I never had a problem with this person. That was the most annoying part of all of it. So then I was supposed to do this show outside of town, not when I was living here in Vegas, so you don't try to put it together, Sherlock. But, yeah, so I was supposed to headline this little club outside of the town I was living in, and they told me that person, I ended up seeing a Facebook flyer that person was on the show. And I was just like, no, I'm not performing with that person. I would rather not headline than have to perform with this person. This person has talked about me a lot, and for no real reason. I never did anything to them. They assumed I was talking about them one time, but I wasn't talking about them. They didn't even enter my mind. It was just like, sometimes I do a blind item. Like today, when I mentioned that thing about me getting paid. A comic hit me up, that I have to be paid if you want to book me. And then a comic hit me up and was like, were you talking about me? But this comic is a nice kid. And I just told him politely no, because it wasn't going to work out time wise. But if I had been around and he really wanted me to do the show, I mean, like, we either would have worked something out where I would have come back for a paid spot later on, or I would have just told him, if you really want me to be there, this is what it would cost for me to get out there. But one way or another, I just would have handled that directly because we're friends and stuff like that. But for me, that's just there's a lot of people right now that get mad at comedians when they say that, I need to get paid. People will act like you're insulting them when you just let them know, like, yeah, this is what it would take for me to go out there. I've had people expect me to break even on going on the road, and I'm like, no, if I can't make money, then why would I want to be on the road? Just for the experience? I've done this for long enough that I know what the experience of comedy is, and I know that there's new stuff to explore always. And when there's money for a private jet, I'll do that. Or when I'm flying everywhere and can easily have Bijou taken care of. But right now, I don't feel like my concentration needs to be on the road. I've been on the road enough that I feel like I just do, and this is where people kind of think I'm weird sometimes, but I just kind of do what God tells me to do, especially more recently. When I was younger, I used to stress about everything, but there was more stuff to stress about. But now I feel like if I pay attention to the signs, and, some people say the universe, and, I also believe in the universe and that conspiring to get you where you need to be when you're supposed to be there. But I also believe in learning lessons and, that things happening on their time. And while I can be proactive in working on them, at the same time, there's certain things that you just can't force. And sometimes you do have to chill a bit, which, like I said, I lived in a more stressful way for quite a while, and, but anyway, I had this person pulled off the show. Let me not get away from that. And then, because, and I didn't technically have them pulled off the show because I didn't say you have to pull them off. What I said was, if that person's on the show, I'm not showing up. Which I'm not proud of, to tell you the truth. It ended up happening. They took the person off the show. And, but, I knew they were going to have him back because they were friends with him anyway. So I knew he was just going to get shifted to another week. So it's not like I completely ruined him, and especially not for that club. If anything, they thought I was an asshole. And I felt like an asshole afterwards. I'm not going to lie and make it seem like, I stand behind it. And there was a petty part of me that felt like this guy has talked so much stuff about me that if he really means it, he shouldn't want to be on a show with me anyway. He shouldn't be on a show that I'm headlining if he really thinks I'm that terrible of a person. But then there was also a part of me that felt like, yeah, you made a big deal for nothing, and it was kind of unprofessional. And I see people do it all the time, and sometimes it's for very legitimate reasons, but at the same time, it's like, no, I'm not here to enforce anything on anybody else. I'm not a perfect person myself. So while some people may have messed up in certain ways and stuff like that when they're on the scene or whatever, even the people that have done things to me, when they're on the scene or whatever, I still feel like they have a right to move as freely as they can possibly move. So, and it's... I shouldn't worry about it, but I just hate, because it's been technically 3 people now that have implied that. And in all 3 cases, it was just a situation where it was like, I am past the part where I feel like I go on the road for adventure. I'm there for the experience, and I get to go on the road and I get to see New Mexico, but I've seen New Mexico at all hours of the day. I've driven through New Mexico several times, Texas, California, Arizona, at some places nobody wanted to be, Wyoming, certain parts of Denver, or not Denver, Colorado, excuse me, where Washington, I've so for me, when I'm on the road, it's more about making money and trying to come home with as much of that money as I possibly can. That's what it's about for me. It's not about like, oh, let's go have fun and eat at this place at diners, dives, and or drive-ins and dives or whatever. Like I'm not thinking that way. Every once in a while, there'll be something cool in a particular town that you can check out that's free. Like walk by the Alamo or stuff like that. But I'm not really thinking of it in vacation terms, and I don't drink anymore, and I'm not anybody's wingman. I'm not going to waste my night doing that. So it's like, sometimes people think I'm being mean to them because it's just like, yeah, I'm not going to do any of that stuff. Like, that's not what me being on the road is about. And my thinking is more like my expectations from them is for them to actually work. I don't care if you choose to drink after the shows, that's your business. But if we have a drive and you're a daytime drinker, that's not going to work out because you're driving during the day, I drive through the night. And the way that deal actually works out, just because of the amount of nighttime driving that gets done, anybody I work with usually gets a really good deal out of that because they get plenty of time to sleep. And I'm more of a night person. That's why I do these so late. And everything I do is late, and like the way I work my days, even I'll do my morning stuff as I'm going to sleep, and then I wake up to like responses if everything goes the way it's supposed to go, or if people are being cooperative or whatever. But I've just learned to make my sleep schedule work. Plus, like I said, since I'm doing things more the way that I feel like I'm just supposed to do them, I go to sleep when I go to sleep, I wake up when I wake up, and as long as I do everything, which my life has always been like that, just as long as I get everything done, then I'm okay. And so I don't even know if all of this is making sense right now. It's just, I guess my main point in everything I'm trying to say here is like, I don't understand people carrying things over from other places or talking about me in a negative way when that's not what I'm doing with them. If people were to talk to the people that actually know me and hang out with me, which is a lot of Las Vegas comedy scene, you would end up finding out that really I'm not gossiping about people that way. Like when, except for every once in a while, one of my good friends will come up with the tea. And, my friends, that's the other thing I like about my friends here. Is like nobody's being harmful when they even like give up the dirt. It's like such a nice scene here. There's people that like people more than others or whatever, but it's like not like people are trying to ruin each other, or if they are, that it's not happening in front of me, because people are, like there'll be once in a while where you're like, got a little bit of dish, bitch. But I'm sure sometimes people do that about me, and I'm not fucking tripping. If you're like, girl, Thai, because it's just normal. It's just part of it. But like it's. Some of these people, they say, like, and also just tell the truth. I don't mind if you tell a story about me and you thought I was the asshole in the story, but don't change the particulars of the story and make it seem like I ruined your whole life, because I'm not a ruin your life type of bitch, unless it comes to myself. Just playing. I'm actually, I'm very happy with where my life is right now. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to act like I'm rich. I'm not trying to act like I'm above the struggle or any of that. I got to keep an eye on everything I'm doing. And that's a part of why I sometimes come off as like kind of short with people or kind of curt, is because I'm just like, I got to pay this, I got to do this. And yeah, it might look like I'm just leisurely, just walking through life or whatever. But believe me, there's enough like ducky swimming going on that I have to be aware of what it is I'm doing. So when people, excuse me, I just spit. When people get mad at me for that, or, like make it seem like I was being difficult, it's like, no, I just had to stay on task. Like, when I moved here, it was expensive to move here. And so I told the person I was dating at that time, I was like, when we get to Vegas, I just need to work, work, work. Work, 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 work. I'm gonna work, work, work. Oh, but yeah. Anyway, I knew that I was gonna have to work as much as possible, and that's what I warned him about when we were moving here. I was like, what you have to understand is once we get there, I gotta work as much as possible. And so that's going to mean a lot of time with you and Bijou just having to keep each other company while I'm on the road, and I'll be doing what it is that I need to be doing. But I promise you, if you take care of Bijou for me and just do what you're supposed to be doing, I will not be doing anything that I shouldn't be doing on the road. So, that of course means no cheating, no drinking, no wasting money, no like just shopping, like none of that stuff. And I kept my word. Like, I was very good. When I was in Shanghai, I bought like some Adidas, and, every once in a while I'd have to buy something to wear because I was getting fat at that time. And every once in a while I'd be like, yeah, this shirt is probably a little too tight right now. And so I might need, because everything I have is small or extra small. So when I gained weight, and I gained it proportionately, which is kind of a blessing and a curse, in the way that now you know what I mean? And so it was expanded out. And so, but yeah, so I was like, I moved here with the idea of working and doing stuff, and making things work. And so, that's why, I just couldn't be acting frivolous or wasting money. And when people aren't behaving in a professional way, then you're potentially hurting what it is I'm doing, and I can't let you do that. And that's why, like, I say I don't have a bad attitude about any of it, or I'm not holding grudges or anything like this, because that's really the way I feel about it. Like, okay, that didn't work. Like, even that particular comic, I would have been fine to just let it go 100%, because I ended up doing a podcast about it, which if you're a true Botherina, you probably heard. I'm not going to tell you which one it was, but I ended up doing a podcast about it where I just told the whole story. And I don't ever want to rehash it again, really, especially like podcast form or something like that, because for me, all those feelings pass. Like, I don't hold on to things where I'm like, oh, now I hope this person never has a career again. Like, everybody I've taken on the road with me, whether it's worked out or not, has been talented. It's not like I'm taking people just because they have a car, because when it comes down to it, I have a car. If you haven't seen my stories, I'm always posting like me driving places, and even when it's far places, like when I went to that recent one where it was like Texas, New Orleans, like that was Texas, New Orleans, Lafayette, and then I think back to Texas. Yeah, I think that's what it was. But my point is, I just, when I got here, I had to hit the ground running, and I had to work as much as possible. And then I also, sorry about that. My phone ran out of storage. But what I was trying, I've been recording so much content lately. Like, that's the other thing. Like, between my YouTube and my, like, I'm doing that comedy festival, Laughed At. Oh, shit. Well, let me let you see a little behind the curtain, because what happened there is I forgot to put in my microphone, and I might end up cutting this out, but I might leave it in so you guys can see what the process is. What do I care? But yeah, so my phone ran out of storage, and it's because I've been recording so much content lately. There's so much going on between my YouTube and all the different things that I'm trying to do right now with Facebook. Well, my Facebook fan page and Instagram stories. And then there's the comedy festival that I'm doing, Laughed Out Comedy Festival, which is my festival. Well, our festival. And I didn't mean that like in a my way, because I know sometimes people take things that I say the wrong way. Not usually my friends here, but I just like to be very clear about what I'm saying. I accidentally said mine, but it's our comedy festival, and it's the Laughed Out Comedy Festival, which, for anybody that's not familiar, is to showcase LGBT talent that doesn't always necessarily get showcased, because in some cases they're language is too strong, or they're not talking about the PC things that we're supposed to talk about, or they're maybe not out there enough, you know what I mean? Like, as far as like being overly active or talking too much about being gay, and it's like encompassing just the people that kind of get left out. That's why laughed out is the play on words, you know. It's the people that usually get left out. And that's not to say that, like, you know, people that are more stereotypical won't be looked at technically. It's trying to showcase the best LGBTQ plus talent. We're just not doing the whole, like, you know, well, if you don't think this way about gay marriage, or like, you know, and sometimes it's what those people that make those decisions don't get is that a particular joke isn't necessarily meant to be negative. It's just a funny spin on something, but it'll still keep certain LGBT comics from actually getting work. And so there's that. There's so many things that I have to work on right now that I really would not take the time to, you know, or try to disturb anybody's career. And like I said, I also wouldn't want the karma that would come back to me off of that, because people forget that. Like, when you exact your own karma, if you get your way, then, like, in theory, you're saying that I'll take on whatever comes my way as a result of me making sure that I exacted karma on them. Or that's the way I've always thought about it. And there's nobody I want to take those consequences for. And that's just what it is. You know, I feel like your road is my road, or my road is my road. I almost pulled a Cynthia Bailey. Keep my name out your mouth, I'll keep your name out my mouth. Yeah, I think that's what Renee knows. My best friend Renee knows. Renee was trying to call me today, but I wasn't able to talk to her. I haven't been able to talk to people the way that I want to, but it's because it really has been like bam, 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 just trying to like make sure everything fits in the day the way I need it to. And sometimes people call me and it's like, yeah, I would really like to talk to you, but right now I have to do this right now, or else my whole day is going to be off, and then, you know, I'm not going to get the stuff done that I need to get done. And with doing it this way, it's been a lot less stressful, but at the same time, it puts me on more of a, like, you know, gotta stay on pace, gotta do things the way that I'm supposed to do them. And like I'm trying to get at, like, continuously, if you can't tell, for me, it's more about like staying in rhythm and making sure I do stuff the way that I'm supposed to do them. Like, you know, after I eat, I do my dishes, and then, you know, I'll make my dinner at like, you know, not necessarily at a certain time on the clock, but a certain time in my day where I'm like, okay, this is where breakfast is supposed to happen. This is where lunch is supposed to happen. This is where dinner is supposed to happen. You know, and sometimes that almost all has to happen at once, and it turns into an intermittent fast, even though my plan wasn't necessarily to intermittent fast. But I'm just trying to do everything the way that, you know, I feel like it's supposed to happen, you know, and even not giving that too much thought, just letting it happen, you know. So I shouldn't have gotten in my feelings about any of that stuff or what anybody's saying, because I feel like anybody that knows me, which is kind of a lot of people, they see like what it is I'm doing. Even if it, like I said, looks like I'm just swimming through it, sometimes I'm really working. And then staying on top of bookers, which can be so annoying, and club owners, and you know, like right now is the time of year where they're all putting together their actual wish list. So it's like for a comedian like me, it's kind of a tough spot to be in, you know, because it's like there's them putting together their wish list of like celebrity comics and really big comics and seeing if they can get them, and then that puts people like me on hold until they get those figured out, and then they will put us in between. So I'm just trying to build my own thing, even if I do have to do the road quite a bit more. Like if I'm, you know, able to pull in more people off of my YouTube or my Facebook or my Instagram and make myself an asset to these clubs, then, you know, I'll be in a much better position when I go on the road. So, you know, that's more where my concentration is than anything to do with any kind of drama. And I let myself kind of go into that last night. I posted it in a comedy discussion group here in Vegas, and I wouldn't say I regretted it immediately because I feel like the people that read it needed to read that. Because I said on it that I was open to telling the story, which I told the story once tonight, but I'm not going to continue to tell the story just because it's like negative energy, and I don't want to bring that here. Like in each time that I end up experiencing a different part of life, I realize where it was that maybe decisions that I made in the past weren't necessarily the best decisions, and I grow from those, and then I make the correction and I move on. Like that's the way I try to do everything. And I know that would seem very basic to some people, but you'd be surprised how many people don't want to learn their lessons, and I don't mean that in a bad way, like being crappy with people kind of way. I just mean like they refuse to just accept that sometimes you have to look at yourself and be like, all right, I might have been wrong in the way that I handled that situation or my thinking. And that's something that I personally do all the time just because I want to get better. I don't want to keep stumbling over the same obstacles, I don't want to keep stumbling over the same block. I want to be able to be like, okay, I've learned that lesson. And, once you've lived life long enough, you realize that sometimes you do have to learn lessons more than once, but at this stage of life, I hope I'm kind of close to just getting it, really. I mean, like, what am I waiting for? But, that's why, like I said, I thought about it and I didn't regret it, like, immediately after doing it. But then after thinking about it more, I felt like, I owe my friends and this scene and Las Vegas and comedy in general better than the drama of old. And I don't have a problem with the drama I had in the past. I felt like a lot of that was necessary, and even if I don't stand behind the principle of it, I stand behind the principle of it. I should say, even if I don't stand behind the point of it anymore, I still stand behind the principle of it. Because a lot of what I was trying to say when people were getting the most mad at me was like, yes, you're allowed to think that way, but I'm also allowed to think like this. And we can both truly coexist, not just like the bumper sticker that everybody lies about. Coexist, that means go my way for a lot of people. Like with me, I'm willing to say, you're you, I'm me, and maybe our paths crossed at a point and maybe that didn't turn out the best. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that we can't just move past it. And even if we choose not to talk to each other, because there's certain people I'd rather not be chummy with, but that doesn't mean that we can't truly coexist and be in professional settings at the same time. Like, even like that's the other thing that got on my nerves and should have told everybody, which I'm sure it did. I was just worried about it for no reason, or thinking about it for no reason, because I didn't want anybody to sully my good name. Girl, I got a good name. I can't be getting sullied. But yeah, it's like, none of this stuff matters, Because what I was trying to get at with that part was just like, I've had to be on shows with these people, the three that have made it sound like I was blackballing them. And it's like, well, if I was blackballing you, would I allow myself to be on the same show with you, or or allow you to be on the same show with me? Or would I have tried to get in the way of that? And that's where you would have been like, okay, then clearly I'm getting black. But no, I don't care who's on shows with me. I know when I'm up. I know about when I'm supposed to get there. If I really don't want to see you, I can show up after your set. I usually do show up after everybody's sets though, but not because I don't want to see anybody, but just because, I'm not just going to sit around doing nothing forever when I could be home, like finishing up my hair. Today, I kind of did my hair, but it was a fix from yesterday. Or I could be like, making something to eat if I didn't plan my day out right, which, like I told you, I haven't been planning, so the odds of that are pretty good. That's what I did tonight. Like, I came home in between, made my breakfast, then went back out, did a couple sets, and then came home and made a late dinner. But, I guess my point is, like, yeah, it's even why I changed the way Unbothered worked. Because if you remember Unbothered, like, from before, if you're a true Botherina, and if you were like, why does it keep saying Botherina? Botherinas are my listeners, the people that pay attention to my podcast. If you're a true Botherina, you know that a lot of times I would get pissed off about certain shit, and the point of the show was I would start off bothered by something, and then I would work myself to the point of being unbothered. So I would talk it out, 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 and then I'd be like, okay, now I'm unbothered. And that really was the way I felt about it. Like, people thought I was getting, like, more worked up as I was telling these stories, but really I wasn't. There was one time that happened where I really was, like, mad, and that was, because people I thought were my friends were talking about me. Like, that's one, where I really was, like, mad afterwards and before, because I really thought these people were my friends. But I still don't want to return to that energy. And I still don't want to change my focus back to, like, for me, that's walking backwards. Those people don't exist to me, and not in a bad way, like, you're not there. It's just like, you're not there, because sometimes you do have to let people go without hard feelings to move ahead in your life, especially if they don't have your best interest in mind. And you're, like, that's my thinking. Like, in a lot of comedy, things are already hard enough. In the entertainment industry altogether, which I don't care if you're an open micer, you're part of the entertainment industry. So it's already hard enough without trying to make each other's roads even harder. Or at least that's the way I see it, So, I just, I made a podcast called Unbothered, and I ended up truly making myself unbothered, and that's what it is. And I just need to remember to stay unbothered and not slip into old habits because you think you have to, because you have to defend your name. But if nobody's thinking that way, then why are you defending it? Why even care? Why put any energy on it? Just enjoy life, and above all else, stay unbothered. Thanks for watching, everybody.